role that you as county executive would play to promote small businesses, from tech startups to small community-based service companies. And back over here to Jim.
To Jim?
Yes.
So I think the most important thing in promoting small businesses is we have to create tax credits for small businesses, and we have to do everything we can to partner with our community colleges, with CCBC. I think it's important to partner with Northwest Hospital, and we haven't spoken about that. But partnering with different institutions is critical to the creation of small business. And I think that making sure that we have a micro loan program in Baltimore County, which is something that I would want to do as county executive. The state does it on a macro level. They've actually partnered with Under Armour and the University of Maryland system have partnered with the micro loan program. We should do that in Baltimore County and have a micro loan program for small businesses so they can come together and we can have small businesses who are short of capital come in with projects and project ideas to expand. We should be able to do that. And then as the businesses flourish and prosper and pay back, we can expand the program more and more throughout Baltimore County. So I think the microloan program, because a lot of ideas are there, but the capital isn't there, is critical to the future of small business in Baltimore County.
Thank you. Mr. O?
Yeah, I would first start by saying that leaders lead on every issue. They think it's right. They take bold actions. They're not afraid to fight for years. When I first introduced earned sick leave in the state legislature over 7 years ago, I knew it was an uphill fight, but I knew it was also the right thing to do. And it took time, it took persistence, but you have to start the conversation, and you have to be willing to start it publicly. I was proud to do that. As it relates to jobs, there's a lot we have to do for our small business community. First and foremost, we have to invest more than, our small business program in Baltimore County, I believe, has one person managing the small business loan program. We have to expand that. We have to develop partnerships. We have to grow our job training programs like the EARN legislation, the nationally recognized job training programs that goes to employers, small and large alike, and says, what are your needs and how can we match you one-to-one so that you can hire the people and fill those skills gaps that exist. We have to invest in transportation and support. The other thing I would say is that for both small businesses as well as my MBEs, we actually need to raise the goal in Baltimore County. And I will raise the MBE goal to 25% as county executive. And I will create not just a goal, but actually create requirements so that as we spend your tax dollars in your community, small and minority businesses have access to those projects. And certainly, when there are stimulus projects in the county, I know the councilman mentioned the Owens Mills Foundry Row decision, I think it's appropriate that small and minority businesses feel the benefit of those investments, whether it's at Foundry Row or the $43 million in tax giveaways at Towson Row. It's right, if we're investing your resources in the communities, that you also feel the benefit. And I'll do that as county executive, and we'll also make sure that those investments are spread out across all of Baltimore County and not just in certain parts of the county.
Yes, sir.
If you are going to target small business growth, you don't do that with a $15 an hour minimum wage that's for Baltimore County and nobody else. As I mentioned previously, there's got to be a plan. And when you're looking at small business growth, you just think community job growth. These are community by community initiatives, and we need to target established communities. Little towns like Parkville and Reisterstown Road area. There's plenty of little communities, Essex. They can use redevelopment, and these small businesses are a good way to do that. We need to create more, I'm going to call them incubator sites. But office space in Baltimore County can be pretty pricey. So we need to have spaces available where small businesses can come in and rent a piece of a space that has they have kitchen availability, they've got a conference room that is used jointly, and those types of things. We need to advocate partnerships with larger businesses. Small business feeds oftentimes off of larger business. So how can we create relationships between small businesses and the McCormicks of the world? And as I mentioned, these are community-by-community initiatives, and we've got to do a better job of working with all of these active local chambers of commerce that have their finger on the pulse of their business community and plan a lot of the initiatives through them. Thank you.
Thank you. Vicki?
I do agree that our chambers of commerce are a very important piece of the small business initiative. I also believe that Baltimore County can get rid of a lot of the red tape that we expect small business people to get through right now. And that's in permitting, that's in the process. We can streamline that. We can use technology to streamline that. We don't have to make it quite as hard for people who want to start a small business. I know at our colleges we have some of the incubator programs now, very successful one at Catonsville. And I also believe in mentorships in the larger businesses, actually mentoring those small business owners or those entrepreneurs who really want to start their own business and add to our tax base. And I also believe that Baltimore County also has a small business resource center that hasn't been marketed very well, but there is a lot of information through that small business resource center for small businesses just getting started and trying to move on. So I think there are many things that we can do to help create more of a good, welcoming atmosphere for small business. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. There are several questions from the audience that are around the areas or the topics of diversity in the government, racism, and the police and housing. Can you talk to us about what you would do in your role as county executive to bring about more diversity in government, in the jobs or in the roles that you may have oversight, and then also fairness throughout the police department, housing department, and the justice or the courts? And that's down to you, Al.
Me? Okay.
Yes.
So Executive Leadership 101, you need to create a vision, communicate, and create expectations and accountability. And and create the culture. And when there's a culture of diversity, when there's a culture of fairness, when there's expectations and accountability that goes with it, you don't see those issues because the lines are very clear. I'm very sensitive about diversity. Throughout my career, if you go to the Maryland Insurance Administration website and you look at the senior team that I have assembled, it's at least half that are minorities. So we have a very diverse senior leadership team. That's been the same way throughout my entire career. I mentioned as insurance commissioner that there's an issue of diversity in the field of insurance. We've been actively engaged in trying to identify ways to do two things. Number one, create more opportunities so additional folks will come into that industry. But equally as important, we've been working with the folks that are already in the industry, trying to identify challenges that they may have, to find appropriate ways to engage those challenges, to lift the opportunity for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Vicki?
Yes, as I mentioned before, I think with our police department and our fire departments that recruitment is key, that our police officers and fire officials need to look more like our communities, and I believe that's the same about government. The Baltimore County government needs to reflect who we represent. I think that's very important. And as county executive, I would create a diversity council because I want us to reflect who our people are that we are serving. And I think a diversity council is an excellent idea on how to bring people to the table. That's the most important part, is bringing people together, listening to their ideas, and having a new atmosphere and attitude in Baltimore County.
Thank you, Vicki.
I think that talk can be cheap, and I think pledges are important. The person I want to be the chief administrative officer of Baltimore County, which is the second most powerful position behind the county executive, is somebody who's in county government right now and is a person of color. And that person is going to be my chief administrative officer. And let me tell you what that means. That means across the board, whether it's the planning board, whether it's different departments, it means that this person is going to be leading the department heads on the culture and hiring, and this is absolutely critical. So we are going to diversify Baltimore County, and we're going to change the culture of Baltimore County. And in my opinion, we're going to bring Baltimore County out of the 1950s and the 1960s, and we're going to move it forward so it does reflect our population. The second part is in the police department, and I agree with the councilwoman on one aspect as far as recruitment goes, but the question is how. And in my mind, the how is that you take officers who are of color and other minorities in Baltimore County, and they go to the high schools. And they go to the high schools, and they go to some of the community colleges, and they talk to the kids. And they talk about the kids, and mostly in the high schools. They talk to them about what a career in law enforcement looks like, and that's how we do the recruiting, so the police department becomes reflective of the community. And that's how I plan to diversify Baltimore County.
Thank you.
Thank you. Diversity is our strength here in Baltimore County and beyond, and an Olszewski administration will embody that truth. It will begin with a cabinet and a workforce that reflects the diversity of this county. I believe that having a diversity of views makes the decisions better because we're not missing perspectives. As we discussed earlier, I will finally put an end to allowing housing discrimination to fester and segregation to continue across our communities here in Baltimore County. I also discussed increasing Baltimore County's MBE goal and establishing requirements, both as a standalone and especially when there are stimulus projects proposed in Baltimore County. I'll establish an Office of Faith and Community Outreach that partners with you. I'll invest in our schools, addressing the great inequities there, create PAL centers, and establish a Youth Works program so that all of our young people have opportunities. As it relates to the police, we will invest in de-escalation and cultural sensitivity trainings. We will hire more officers of color and more women officers. But most importantly, I'll come to you. I think the best thing that a leader can do is say, I don't have all of the answers all the time, but I will be accessible, I will be transparent, and I will be a connected executive so that you can tell me if we're still missing something, what that needs to be. Whether that's worshiping here at Morning Star or coming to a coffee with Johnny O in the community, I will be accessible to you, I will partner with you, and we will figure this out together.
Thank you. As we prepare to begin to wrap up, is there any additional responses on this last question? I thought I saw your hand earlier.
Yes, I just wanted to say that our police department now goes into our high schools to recruit, and one of our best recruiting tools are our school resource officers. So we do that now in Baltimore County for recruitment.
Okay, thank you. Let's give all of our candidates a round of applause. It's almost 3:45, so we will begin to move into the segment where each of you will have an opportunity to give your summary or your closing remarks. I will ask, however, that in your closing remarks, if you would please talk about the role that faith plays and how you approach life and your role as a public official and potentially county executive. And we will start back with Vicki and work our way back. Closing remarks and thoughts with faith in mind.
Thank you. First of all, as a person who was raised in the Catholic Church, I feel that I have a great foundation for my faith. I will also say that in touring Baltimore County, I've also toured many of our churches, our mosques, our synagogues, and I have been welcomed. I've been made to feel comfortable. I've been made to feel a part of the community, and it's been an amazing experience. It has truly been an amazing experience. We're talking about local government here, closest to the people. This is important to understand that we're not state government, we're not federal government. We have an administration, we have a county council, two separate forms of government. One doesn't tell the other what to do. It's important that the county executive's office is open. The doors are open. I would be accessible. I would be a good listener, and my door would always be open. I would not be spending my time sitting in my office. I would be out and about in my communities, as I am now, visiting my local businesses, visiting my schools, visiting everything that has to do with Baltimore County, talking to people, looking for new ideas and for creativity, surrounding myself with the best and brightest in their field. And I think that's how you put a team together. And I think Baltimore County needs a team in place to make Baltimore County better and to move us forward. As your county executive, I know there are priorities. Public safety and education are at the top, they're key. There's also so much low-hanging fruit that we can take advantage of. We don't have to have trash all over. And trash is one of my pet peeves. I see it everywhere I go, everywhere. And it's become worse because we've stopped doing the small things that make our communities the best that they can be. If you want a street sweeper, you have to schedule it. If you want a dumpster day, don't do it at the end of the year because the budget's already spent. That's ridiculous. We need to accommodate our constituents and our communities. We need to have strong communities, and in order to do that, we have to have a good education system, good public safety, and strong economic development, and amenities for people to live and grow, to raise their families, and to become a part of something bigger than themselves. And to me, that's what a county executive at the local level does, and it's very, very much the local level. It's about talking with all of you. It's about listening to all of you. Whatever your race, whatever your religion, whatever it is. And I think, in my opinion, that's one of the most important things. Moving forward, changing the attitude and atmosphere right now that exists in Baltimore County. And we can move forward on that. And I would like your support to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank Morningstar, Bishop, and you've done it, all of you have done a great job, and I appreciate you for having this and hosting us. And this is how we figured out who's going to lead the county by the best ideas and let the best ones come forward. With that being said, faith is an important component of my life, but it's pretty much a private component. It's just a creed that I've tried to live through over the years, and it has to do with treating others as you would want to be treated, and living by that creed, and trying to live your life and getting up every day, and trying to do that. We need a work environment in Baltimore County that's based on that for our county employees. It has to be based on mutual respect. And if you talk to county employees across the spectrum, they're not feeling that, and that's something that first and foremost I pledge in my administration. This is going to be a county administration that's going to treat its employees with respect. As far as my wrap-up goes, it's this. A lot of you don't know me. I've been the senator in Towson, represented Towson and Timonium for the last 16 years in the legislature. I could have run again for re-election and probably wouldn't have even had an opponent. But I'm driven because of some issues in Baltimore County and governing in Baltimore County that I think that we have to deal with. Time and time again throughout my tenure as state senator, I've stood up for my constituents and empowered them, and I have amplified their voice to make the 42nd Legislative District better. Whether it's building new schools, saving Towson Manor Park, rehabbing new schools, or fighting with them and leading them so we can get a elected school board, hybrid school board in Baltimore County. But this is a critical juncture for the county, and the next 48 years is going to be critical. And the issues for me, as I mentioned before, are we need to stop pay-to-play politics in Baltimore County. We need to finally stop the campaign contributions from the developers and get to the point where projects and developments are based on their merit and not how much money is put into the system. And it is critical now that we preserve the open space to the left, that there's more parks, there's more rec centers. As Johnny O pointed out, there's more PAL centers. We need to do more to enhance the quality of life of our constituents, and that is critically why I'm running for county executive. We also need to maintain quality schools. Education-wise, the thing that's impressed me most as I've traveled and campaigned over the last year is two things. The AVID program, where they're taking kids in middle school who show college potential, and they all, starting in 9th grade, are in first period together, and they go through high school together, and they learn study skills, they learn organizational skills, and they start filling out college applications and doing things like that. In my district, at Delaney High, the kids who are in the AVID program have a 93% college acceptance rate, which is absolutely outstanding. I want to increase funding for that, and I also want to increase the pilot program that we have on the east side of Baltimore County, where the building trades come in, and they do this at Timonian Fairgrounds in my district, and they're bringing kids in from the east and the west side and other parts of the county, and they're showing them what a career as an electrician or HVAC or plumbing looks like, and showing them the wages that you can have from this type of employment. Those are two things education-wise that the next county executive has to be at the forefront on and dedicate the dollars that we need to do. We have a massive opioid epidemic in Baltimore County. It's the second highest in the state of Maryland as far as overdoses go. As your next county executive, I am going to build an opioid treatment center in Baltimore County, and I'm going to do what Anne Arundel County does. We're going to do treatment on demand, something that is long, long overdue in this county. We cannot shut our eyes to the plight that is tearing up community after community across this country. Somebody needs to say enough, and we're going to do what Anne Arundel County does, where when you're ready for help, you can go to a police station, you can go to a fire station, and you can say, I need help. You're going to be met with a caseworker from Baltimore County, and you're going to go get treatment on demand, and we're going to deliver it to you. And we know that it may not work the first, second, or third time, but we're going to stay with you, and we're going to make that commitment to you. And finally, one more? Thanks. I swear to God, this is it. Finally, we have homelessness is a huge issue in Baltimore County and across the country. We're going to borrow the best and brightest ideas. In Cuyahoga County, in Ohio, it's housing first. We find apartments for people who are homeless, and rather than turning them out in the street at night, which is what most of the facilities in Baltimore County do, we bring the services to them in an apartment, whether it's signing them up for Medicaid, whether it's psychological services, whether it's partnering with vehicles for a change, whether it's living skills training. We're going to start to take the homeless off the street and give them an opportunity to be productive citizens. I thank you very much for your time and for enjoying.